So I get the question very often, what do I need for a startup? How do I start my own startup? And it usually comes from some of the brightest students. And they might say, I've never started one or I might never start one because I don't know what to do or what to have. And so I wanted to put together a group of things that I think you absolutely would enjoy having, but they are not the minimum requirement. I don't think there is such a thing as a true minimum requirement for a startup because a lot of people will learn on the go. But at its core, you need drive and belief and the willingness to adapt. But that you should know. Experience is number one. It'd be great to have subject matter experience in the area that you're developing a startup. It'd be great to actually have startup experience. So it would be wonderful if you're thinking about starting a company. Why don't you go to a company that's already received funding, maybe from angels or an initial seed round, and get them to hire you? You could work anything in the company. If it's a 5-person company, a 3-person company, you're going to be doing everything. Up to probably a 10-person company, you'll get experience in what a startup is. So gain experience, whether it's subject matter expertise in the industry or in startups. Have mentors. Most people don't realize this. There are many, many smart people in the world around us that are very experienced and gained their gray hairs, or maybe they didn't gain their gray hairs just yet, from doing very successful things. Have people take you under their wing. Teach you, and sometimes a 5-minute chat with someone is worth an entire year worth of work. So avoid wasting an entire year. Co-founders. These are absolutely the most important folks. Because if you have a co-founder that you gained off the street or off of an event, or because someone linked you to someone else or hired them almost like an employee but gave them 30% of your company, and you don't have the trust or the experience of working with them, it's a very big danger and a high risk for your startup. Know people that you believe you can start a company with and have them in your mind, at least, at the ready. Board members. You can have advisory board members or operational board members, and both of those will probably receive some sort of equity, some of them very small, some of them a little bit more. But these are the people that help guide you up until you get board members that are paid board members, if you will, from venture capital firms or elsewhere. Your objective is to capture someone that is an expert in the field. When they go out and do their speaking gigs, they'll actually talk about your company. Or someone that can speak on your behalf elsewhere, perhaps even when you're not there. If you need to be at a client meeting or somewhere else, you can actually send that board member on your behalf or bring them with you to show support. Employees. Know smart people in the field that you're in. If you need computer science majors, programmers, developers, designers, know these people. Network with them. There are many, many networking events. Now, if you live in an area that doesn't have a networking event, maybe meet them on LinkedIn and get to know them electronically, or have a Skype session with people telling them that I'm just trying to build my network, and you're really hunting some of the smartest people. You don't want to wait until you need an employee. That initial set of hires, those first 5-10 people, might each take you months to actually do the diligence on and find out if they're really a good fit. Finding people that are hardworking, smart, and competitive and want to work for you for a certain equity stake is very difficult. It's much harder than you can expect. You want to hire, of course, A players. Investors. At the beginning, you'll need angels, and it's nice to network around with the angels ahead of time. If you're thinking about starting a company within the next 6 months, a year, start networking with the angels in your area, or folks that are close by, or folks maybe even that are distant from you, but are in your industry, or interested in your industry. Venture capitalists, you probably won't be able to network with a great deal of them, but start watching videos from venture capitalists. And the objective there is to find out which one you might click with. And if you think you're interested in one, look at their portfolio, which companies they've invested in, and link up with the leads for that company and ask them about that venture capitalist. Was it good working with them or not? And there are strategic investors as well, and it's good to know those. So for instance, if you're in healthcare and there's a strategic investor in healthcare, it's good to start building the relationship ahead of time. Just say, I'd like a meeting. This is the company that I'm going to develop at a very high level, and in a year I'll meet with you again and show you that I've met my milestones. Now, of course, you can go and avoid investors and go for a purely revenue-driven company, which is wonderful. If you can do that, always do that. Why give up equity in your company if you can maintain it within the initial founders and the initial employees? It'd be nice to actually know some customers. Folks that are willing to be your first users, first feedback givers. You probably might not charge them anything at all. or they might be your first buyers, but it'd be nice to have them ahead of time, know what their problems are to make sure that the problem and the pain point and the solution that you're developing is fit for their needs. It's good to have media on your side, whether it's local media for the local news or newspaper, or social media that's available. So tracking bloggers or others that will tweet or write an article on LinkedIn or write an article in Bloomberg maybe even about your company is absolutely important. That's the way you start to get that initial growth. And you can have industry-specific media. Lawyers, I mean, if you have intellectual property that you're trying to develop, you absolutely need lawyers to help you out with that. Although I usually say stay away from IP, and at least patents, for a while, unless you absolutely believe you need them. There are defense lawyers, or maybe even on an offensive side for lawyers. But hopefully for your business, you want to concentrate on growth, not so much your ego. So try to avoid using a lawyer when necessary. Whenever you're probably drawing up your initial agreements and documentation, there are so many startup lawyers that do everything for a fixed fee that is very well adjusted to startups that you shouldn't necessarily do all the documentation yourself or spend a month learning how to do that documentation. Spend that on growth and the product. Network, you want to develop as big of a network as you can that is manageable. You don't want a network of 2,000 people on LinkedIn that you talk to once every 10 years. You want a network of 300, 400 people on LinkedIn that you manage through the CRM approach of LinkedIn strongly. So you want incumbents, folks that are competing with you in your industry, if they're available. Maybe you're doing something that's so novel that you don't have an incumbent. You want industry leaders, people that are seen in your industry as the people that are the go-to. Now, these folks might become your board members or they might become your mentors, but you want to have them at minimum at arm's reach for someone that you can talk to. Other startups, remember that other startups are around and you want to know what they're doing. Of course, you don't want to do things that are illegal where you're capturing information, but rather maybe you can be in the same network and become synergistic. Universities, most people don't realize this. Universities would love to get attached to startups, and especially if you're an alum from one of the universities, it'd be great to have that university supporting you. Accelerators, it'd be nice to know some folks that work at an accelerator, because some of those accelerators will truly get you that initial valuation that you need and help give you all the other things that we discussed about in this video.